I was 16 at the time of this event. My close friend Shayla and I were driving back home from visiting my distant family in West Michigan. Back then I resided in Portsmouth, Virginia. It was 11 p.m. and we were the only drivers on the road. Mind you, I have never taken this way before as I wanted to skip the toll roads. Shayla and I were so busy in our conversation that we hadn't noticed coming up on an abandoned town somewhere in Pennsylvania. As we finally caught hold of our surroundings, I had a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. My friend caught on as she asked me if I was alright. "Yeah, I'm okay. This town is pretty creepy though," I replied. I wasn't lying. There were things such as old abandoned houses with boarded up windows and closed town stores. Even cars and trucks were left abandoned. It honestly looked like a scene of a horror movie. My friend and I stayed silent. You could feel the drastic change in the air. It felt sinister. A couple minutes of silence pass and my car starts to shake. I realized that we were running out of gas. I totally forgot to stop miles back in a different town. "Fuck!" I yelled, pulling over in front of yet another abandoned house. "What a great place to break down at," she laughs nervously. I nod, agreeing with her sarcastic comment. I take my phone out to call roadside assistance that my parents programmed into it. I didn't have cell reception, so I got out of the car and Shayla followed. Now this is where things start to get really weird and scary. I'm completely focused on getting reception that I didn't realize that Shayla was just standing there looking completely terrified. She whispered my name before pulling on my shirt. She points ahead. There's a man standing about 10 feet from us. I followed her gaze and she was right. There was a man about 6 foot tall standing there in front of my car's headlights. How can anyone be here? This place is a dead town. I don't breathe or speak. My heart's in my stomach, but finally Shayla speaks up. "Do you need something?" she calls out. Right then he tilts his head and smiles widely, scaring us even more. At this point I'm so terrified I can't even move. He just stares at us, smiling. "My dad's a cop, you freak!" Shayla yells. That was a big mistake on our part. His expression turns to anger and he starts moving towards us very fast. Our adrenaline kicks in and we run to my car and lock the doors. We look up and the man's gone. I was breathing so heavily it was distracting me from the sound under the car. He was underneath my car. Shayla is screaming, tears flowing down her cheeks. I was trying to stay calm, praying to God for my phone to get service. Finally I got 2 bars. I call the cops and alert them about what's happening. They respond with, "We'll be there in 20 minutes. By the time the phone call ends, the sounds stop. I was still on high alert and scared out of my mind. I'm hugged up against Shayla, both of us crying. Her face goes emotionless as she looks behind me at the back window. My heart tells me not to look, but I can't help it. I look. I wish I hadn't. That man is there and 4 others, 2 other men and 2 women. My heart dropped yet again. They all smiled. I realized they had bats and something else in their hands, but I start to hear police sirens and sigh in relief. Shayla and I look to the front and see the cops pulling up. I've never been so happy to see a police officer. By the time he walked to my car, the people had disappeared. I was so shaken up I couldn't even explain to the cops what had happened. Shayla did that for me. They offered to get gas, but instead I begged them to bring us to a hotel in a very populated area and call my parents to get us. To this day, the cops never found those people or where they could have possibly come from. My guess was that they resided in one of the abandoned buildings. I hope they block that town off someday. I never, ever took the back ways again.